Good day, Mr. Gavin. My name is Rick Kuttner. Not long ago, I was speaking with an old friend of yours, Dean Schneider, about some television production goals that I've been working on. Feeling that my objectives may have merit, Dean suggested I consider approaching you and your network for consideration. In addition, Dean offered to help me arrange an introduction with you. But knowing how busy you must be, I requested Dean allow me to produce and submit this short video for your prior review. Confident that what you'll discover here will be interesting, this presentation is being provided to request that you consider engaging me as a news producer, along with anything else that I can do for you. In consideration for your time, and while preserving your ability to interview me and further scrutinize my considerable background, talents, and capabilities later, allow me to simply share with you that throughout the last 42 years, I've acquired knowledge and experience relating to the artistic and conventional related businesses which govern and support my objectives. My interest in chasing news stories evolved from a lifelong relationship with my talented grandmother, who, after being educated in London, England, and becoming an accomplished writer, actress, and world historian, inspired me at a young age to understand that the foundation of the world we live in started with the Greek and Roman cultures, whose existence continues to influence the world we live in today. And based upon my grandmother's teachings, today I can easily recognize how national and international events can affect, and in some cases radically change, world history. In addition to my grandmother's insightful worldview, my family's own life experiences have also enabled me to either directly serve or have been associated with a number of world-famous athletes, along with 3 Texas governors, 2 American presidents, and 1 premier of a vital West African nation, just to name a few. And these relationships and experiences have further enhanced my general understanding of our world, along with some critical and international circumstances relating to the Mideast, Africa, and other important parts of the world. And like my grandmother, I enjoy discovering and capturing history's untold stories. And speaking of untold stories, this is exactly what I'd like you to consider helping me with today. Serving as a news producer for you, I'd like to complete producing what may very quickly become a sensational news story, a story that may also be seen as a significant turning point in American history. With regards to producing news stories worth watching, this story concerns a gentleman named John Cogswell and his efforts to help bring about a resurgence of U.S. congressmen who actually care about America and who more closely represent the average everyday American. As a seasoned attorney in pursuit of what some consider an impossible dream, John intends to use existing legal provisions written within the United States Constitution by our forefathers to initiate a constitutional convention of the many states of America. In order to accomplish this seemingly impossible feat, John is well aware of the fact that he will have to successfully band together a large majority of the many states. But considering today's politically charged atmosphere relating to the federal government's efforts to usurp states' rights, a movement like this may very well have a chance. And Cogswell's already harnessed a number of interested states, some of which are even Democratic. And today I don't think there's many Americans, Democratic or Republican, who don't feel like we're all being held hostage by a lazy, incompetent, and overpaid Congress, and that something needs to be done about it. Giving attention to a story like this, whether successful or not, will help focus closer scrutiny upon our particular problem in America, while potentially waking up a few congressmen to the possibility of even getting replaced. And given the timing of certain politically charged news stories that are currently bombarding today's television audiences concerning our inept U.S. Congress, Cogswell's effort may be just away from catapulting into a huge national story. Let's review this piece, which was captured from the Fox Network's Fox and Friends morning show, and I'll comment afterward.
The Constitution. Brand new Fox News polls show congressional approval ratings near record lows. Just 17% of Americans approve of the job our elected officials are doing in Washington. So, with D.C. so divided, nothing is getting done. But our next guest says there could be another way, changing the Constitution without Congress. John Cogswell is the director of Campaign Constitution, and he's here to explain how. Good morning to you, John.
Good morning, Steve.
Okay, so how do you change the Constitution without Congress?
Well, there are 2 ways to change it. Article 5 of the Constitution permits Congress to make proposals, and it permits the states to ask Congress for a convention in order to make proposals.
So that's the way you're going to do it. You're going to try to get 2/3 of the states in this country to say, you know what, let's have a constitutional convention and figure out what we're going to do going forward.
Yes, Congress will never change the Constitution because they're too vested in all of the goodies that they're getting there.
Re-election.
Right. That's what they're interested in, is re-election, money, power, and all the pernicious consequences of those things instead of looking out for the best interests of the country.
Okay, so John, let's say that 2/3 of you're successful. You get 2/3 of the states to agree to this convention. What are you going to do?
Well, the business plan that we have adopted provides for a resolution that's couched in terminology relating to the Declaration of Independence. And these amendments, I have 9 proposed amendments with 44 clauses. The plan is to approve them in advance of asking Congress to do anything, so that one, we don't want to have anybody fooling with the First Amendment, the Bill of Rights,
right,
the balance of powers, and these types of things. What we're trying to do is diminish the incentives that currently exist that allow our elected representatives to seek money, power, recognition, and all the things. Leadership is the problem with America. And what we're trying to do is make minor changes in the Constitution in order to give incentives to obtain leaders who care about their country more than about their own reelection.
And I know you've got a long list of how to do that, but give me one way to get those leaders who will make some real changes.
Well, for one thing, Congress will no longer be able to exempt itself from laws that it imposes upon others. For another thing, they won't have their own special Medicare programs and special retirement programs. They're going to be like anybody else. Another one is a separate committee will decide what their pay is. They have to do their own thing for retirement just like everybody else.
You refer to these as process amendments, the part of the process, but you know the little things add up to changing the big picture in Washington.
The basic incentive is that if you have these minor changes that I'm proposing, you're going to get people running for Congress that care about the best interests of the country, who have a willingness to sit down and work with each other, more harmony, more reverence for the process. All
right, John, I think you may have piqued some interest in some people. How do they find out more information? I know you got a book called Fix the System.
Yes, and I have a website called campaignconstitution.com, and all of the proposals are on the website, and you can go in there and vote on them. And this is why we need the people to do it. And I should say this, out of the 44 proposals that we have, 31 of them thus far have received over 90% approval. 9 of them are in the 80%,
wow,
3 in the 70s, and only 1 in the 60s.
Well, we know that Washington is busted, and we got to do something. All right,
sure is.
John Cogswell, real pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having
joining
me
us today from Colorado.
Well, what do you think? Outside of this show, I haven't seen it shown anywhere else, so it may still be the only airing so far. However, where we remain in an early position to capture this story, it's recently come to my attention that news producers from Fox's Bill O'Reilly show, The Factor, are currently in discussion with Mr. Cogswell for an interview. And if O'Reilly likes this piece and airs it, then Glenn Beck will surely follow close behind. So in order not to get pushed to the rear of the line, then we need to act quickly if this story is of interest. Anticipating that what you'll see in this piece has value, I've already met with John and developed a strong personal relationship with him, and he's agreed to do an open and unrestricted interview. But of greater interest may be the fact that after spending some time with John, he opened up and shared a number of his professional goals with me, and they all appear to be quite extraordinary, admirable, and profoundly professional. But what Cogswell has in mind goes far beyond a simple interview. Of greater significance may be that based upon a number of interrelated attorneys I know, all of whom appear to have an in-depth knowledge of Mr. Mark Cuban's own personal aspirations, not to mention Mr. Rather's, together we may have a golden opportunity to potentially broker something significant between these men, something that could have a profoundly far-reaching effect upon us all in our entire country. Now, Mr. Garvin, I know that you don't know me from Adam, but may I candidly explain that my primary profession today, unless you decide otherwise, remains brokering sophisticated business deals by joining parties together who share significant commonalities and simply negotiating a mutually beneficial outcome. And according to most of my clients and associates, I'm relatively good at what I do, not to mention my keen eye for a good deal. And I can assure you that the opportunity before you is well worth exploring, win, lose, or draw. Well, sir, now the rest is up to you. So let me close by simply saying I'm excited about hopefully meeting you soon. Thanks for watching.